Hi, I'm Tyler of Hoovie's Garage.
And I'm Doug DeMuro of Doug DeMuro.
And today, Hoovie and Tyler are going to talk about cars.
No.
Hoovie and Tyler?
What?
Hoovie and Doug are talking about cars.
This is where I'm messing up. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't even realize what I was doing.
Hi, I'm Doug DeMuro.
And I'm Tyler of Hoovie's Garage.
And today, it's another episode of Hoovie and Doug talk about cars. I'm Doug and he's Tyler. We're going to talk about cars.
I know my name.
All right, now we are discussing 1990s Japanese sports cars. Now, 90s Japanese sports cars, you don't know, this was an era, it was a very big deal in the 90s. All the Japanese brands had sports cars. No, sports cars are kind of dying, it's not a thing anymore, but back then it was a huge deal.
They were trying really hard, yes.
Really hard. So there was, Honda had the NSX, Acura NSX.
Mm-hmm.
You had one of those.
Yes.
Mitsubishi 3000 GT, Nissan 300ZX, the Supra, the RX-7, and...
well, I'm supposed to remember one?
The last one, the best one.
I don't remember.
The Subaru SVX.
Oh, the SVX. I have one of those. I do have one of those for $500.
The problem is Tyler's got too many cars, so he doesn't remember which automobiles he has.
Yes.
And which he's just heard about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, of these 90s Japanese cars, you had an NSX. You've driven a couple of these. I've driven most of them. I've never driven a 300ZX.
Really?
Yeah. Have you?
Email me, Doug DeMuro at gmail.com. Or
you?
Yahoo, yeah. 300ZX, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. What do you think? Which one's your favorite?
NSX.
Yeah, it's great because it's under the radar. I mean, people, when I owned it, they asked me if it was a Corvette more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
If you knew, you knew.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you didn't, you didn't. And
the people that would come up and talk to me about it were people I would actually want to talk to about an NSX.
Right.
It was great.
Right. When you're driving around in like a bright orange, bright red Ferrari, it's annoying people come up to you. What does it cost? But when you're in a car like that, it's car people.
Right.
Yeah, I would have held on to the NSX forever if people actually watched the videos on it.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that kind of proves the point about that car versus a Ferrari.
Right. And it even torpedoed my first Ferrari video because I put NSX in the title first. I traded my Acura NSX for a Ferrari.
And YouTube,
the algorithm just went, NSX.
So the NSX was really cool. You got this 355 for a while. And they were competitors in the 90s to some extent. Which do you like better?
The 355. It's just because of the sound it makes, the engine. I mean, I tried different exhaust setup on the NSX and the noise. I mean, the gearbox, even the NSX gearbox is really good.
Yeah.
Of course, the gated shifter. I mean, it's just in that.
And that's really the rub, right? Like we all know the NSX is the better, more reliable, easily serviceable, will last longer. The cargo room in the back with the trunk back there behind the engine. But Ferrari's Ferrari.
Yeah. Yeah, you just can't.
If you had the option of 348 and an NSX, would you take 348? It's soul, it is.
That would be tough. I mean,
348 wasn't the best.
It really wasn't. Yeah. I mean, that would be a pretty good toss-up. I'd still probably go for the 348, I think.
Yeah. Just because it's a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But still, okay. So the NSX was the coolest of these Japanese cars.
For sure.
Moving on to the lower tier, then you get in kind of an argument because there's the 3000 GT VR4 was a pretty cool car.
Very cool.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Big.
I think it's cooler than the Supra in a lot of ways. It's like Mitsubishi just doesn't have that cachet anymore.
That's true. That's a good point. I wonder to what extent that car's legacy has been affected by the fact that Mitsubishi that was the last expensive, good, crazy, special car that they made.
Yeah, active aero. That's really neat.
Four-wheel steering.
Yeah, four-wheel steering.
320 horsepower was the big number back then. Yeah. It's still pretty big.
It's impressive. And actually, my grandma worked at Mitsubishi Motors when that was out.
At Mitsubishi Motors? At like the HQ?
In California. Yeah, she was an executive.
No way.
Yes. She went from there to AAA. Yeah, she was one of the.
What was she doing?
My grandma was one of the first people in Wichita to go through the MBA program, and then she met her third husband out there, and got a job at Mitsubishi Motors. She had all the.
Was she responsible for giving us the Diamante?
I think
so, that's great. That's just lovely.
I think she was in charge of computerizing the inventory system for parts and stuff like that.
That's not really the same.
But she had all of the cool cars. The company provided cars. She had all of the cool Mitsubishis of the '90s and the Montero was a lot.
That was a cool
and we
Mitsubishi.
kept handing them out. So I had a really fun experience as a kid with Mitsubishi, for sure.
It's funny because, Mitsubishi is kind of, and that was the problem, that is kind of a problem with that car. The Supra, Toyota has remained a strong brand. They're still making the sports cars, the FRS, whatever it's called, the 86. So, the Supra, and plus the Supra was in the movie.
Right.
And that was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And it was beautiful.
It is beautiful. They're all, especially one that hasn't been touched.
Yeah.
It's just.
There's so many of these that have been modified.
Yeah.
I get emails from people. I think the modifications are correct are good for the vehicle. Can you review it? And I'm like, no, I want to drive it how it was. Tell us about the SVX.
The SVX is super cool. Mine got straight piped by because it was owned by some kid, and it sounds almost as good as my 355. This Boxster 6-cylinder. I don't know why it sounds so good for a $500 car. It's the best sounding $500 car in the world. The windows are so cool.
The SVX may have been the most interesting of all of those cars. First off, because it was a Subaru, and we now kind of think Subaru does some interesting stuff, whatever, but at the time, Subaru was making the boring Legacy and the boring Impreza, and they were barely holding on in North America. That was a weird vehicle for them to create.
Yeah.
And the windows are so weird. The wedge shape.
But no manual transmission.
They were all automatics.
And they killed it because they were so dang expensive.
Yeah, it was a tremendously expensive car.
Right.
They made it it was well equipped. They had leather and all that stuff.
Yeah. Alcantara dashboard. That's what
Really?
I don't. Yeah. Though maybe it's not real, but it feels like it all the way across the dash. It's a weird little insert there.
230 horsepower was that car's flaw. It
Right.
only really got up. It was 230, right? That was the number. It only really got up to the level of the mid-level 3000 GT.
Right.
As opposed to like they could have thrown a turbo. But the problem was Subaru didn't have transmissions. I mean, the auto was all died because Subaru couldn't put a transmission in that car.
The transmission it has now is total glass, even with 230
Right.
horsepower. So
People
yeah.
are like, oh, we put in transmission coolers and stuff, but I hear that none of that really works. And eventually they put transmission.
I'll find out at some point.
300ZX. You like those?
Sure. Yes. I mean, it's. They're kind of the boring ones to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all cool, but of that one, it's probably.
You're kind of right though, because like the 3000 GT, the Supra, and the RX-7, they were definitely more. The RX-7 was weird because of the rotary, and they only made it in the US for 3 years,
Right.
the FDs. And the Supra was the Supra. The 3000 GT was bizarre, all-wheel drive and four-wheel steering.
Yeah.
The 300ZX was a little bit, and it was probably the highest production number, I imagine. There's a lot of those 300ZXs. So of those cars, the NSX is the best. You prefer the NSX?
Not very much.
What were the Americans building at that time? Firebird,
Yeah.
Fortune.
A Corvette, right?
Yeah, what was it? That was the C4 ran through '96. So the Supra was out against the C4.
Yeah.
No wonder the Japanese saw an opportunity. They were like,
Well, yeah,
answer it.
they prompted the ZR1, which is a great C4.
Yeah, the ZR1 was cool, and they were building that till near the end. Did they build that all the way through '96?
I think so.
That was a cool car, and that would have competed. But that was a very expensive car.
Yes.
But one thing that I'm really enjoying is the 25-year rule and all the stuff that we couldn't get, and it's now starting to come in.
Early WRXs.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
very original WRX, early Evos. What would you bring in?
Gosh.
Japanese. You're talking about Japanese.
Yeah, so the weird, and I like the Nissan President, the big sedans, Honda Beat.
Yeah, the Beat was a cool car, and those were like very early, and all the Suzuki Cappuccino,
Right,
car?
yeah.
the little like K cars.
Toyota Serra with the butterfly doors.
Oh, the Toyota Serra, so which everybody who has one of those insists that it inspired the McLaren F1. Do you know that?
No.
Insists.
Really?
Yes.
That's ridiculous. Okay.
It may be true. I don't know. Yeah, that's true. There were other '90s Japanese cars that we didn't get here in the States.
Yeah, we got the good
But
ones.
we didn't get the Skyline.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah. Was that your favorite after owning one?
Yeah, the R32 was fine, but I drove an R34 GTR, and that was a special car. The only problem is they're all right-hand drive. They only sold them in right-hand drive markets, so they never made left-hand drive ones. So it's not. I don't want to drive that thing around. You ever drive a right-hand drive car?
Yes.
I don't want to be a part
Deliver
of
mail, on the
did?
side.
Did you?
Yes. No, I didn't know.